Alright guys, welcome back. Today we're gonna do Alice Never After, issue number 2 from Boom Studios. Alternate cover. This is, let's say half a year ago, yes, 6 months ago, I got Alice Never After issue number 1 and then made a review. This is volume 2, by the way. I reviewed all, I believe 5 issues of Alice Ever After, the first volume. And I enjoyed it. You know, some people didn't like it, some people they do. But I think I had a good time with it. And this gives me the exact same vibes as the first ones, because the creators are always the same. And I mean, it's drawn and created, written by Panosian. So illustrators, 2 illustrators in here, Giorgio Spalletta and Cyril Glirham and Dan Panosian as well. So if you want to know what's going on, I'm going to reveal here and there a little bit spoilers from the first volume, and then we'll see. So let's start here. So this is basically a dark fairy tale. It's not really dark, but it has a lot of darker themes. So here in Wonderland, we have Alice, and she is being crowned as the new Queen of Hearts, and she doesn't really like it. And in my opinion, this is not whole real. I mean, she is in the real world, Alice, I mean, and a little bit of, backstory. Her mind is damaged, her brain is damaged because of what happened in the first volume, and she's using a lot of drugs to go to this happy place, this fantasy world, this, this place of wonders, if you will. And we see what's happening to her. And all these animals, they are all very happy for her. They all have friends, but they also weird. So, and then this mouse says, Your Highness, they're ready for you in the courtroom. Oh, the High Court, this must be pretty serious, he says. And then she's being hailed. And then we have this walrus guy. And he says, may I have a word with you before we proceed with the matter at hand? So I thought, okay, what's going on? So he says, just so you know, as the Queen of Hearts, you have the authority to invoke a beheading at any point during the hearing. A beheading, she says? Yes, indeed. Between you and me, invoking a beheading works best when you interrupt the plaintiff's pleas. The crowd generally loves it. Creates quite a stir. And she says, well, rest assured, I won't be requesting any sort of beheading. So, and then the walrus judge says, you say that now, but things can quite heated in the courtroom. Maybe just a little beheading? Try it. You might like it. The last queen sure did. And she says, absolutely not. There will be no beheading while I'm queen. None. I'm nothing like the last queen. Cookies and crumbles, as they say. So he doesn't like that at all. Like I said, these animals are a little bit weird. So who is exactly making what sort of plea? So this card guy, this guard, opened up the door, and it's the Cheshire Cat. And Alice banned the cat in the last issue. And so this guy says, regretting the beheading already. And these are, how I just say, it's not really goofy. They are basically in character. If you have, watched the cartoons and maybe the movie, all these animals are weird. They're talking weird, right? And in this comic, it all comes back, right? And so the Cheshire Cat says, well, I know I'm banned from Wonderland, but I have some terrific news that I'm sure you delighted to hear. I've changed for the better. I'm here to beg the court to also change, to entertain a change of heart, if you will. And then we go back to the real world, where Alice's father, who is a crook, by the way, is here in Wormwood Scrubs prison, where he's meeting with, what's her name? Mistress Hulda, who was the villain in the first volume. She's behind bars. And her father, Alice's father, is talking to her and says, so I think What you are saying is that you overheard a few conversations between my daughters, Alice and Edith. Secret conversations. Fascinating. So she says, the conversations were filled with all sort of scandalous details. Dr. Ludwig, you're quite a naughty little boy, it would seem. From robbing the dead of their teeth in graveyards and, to Alice's horror, even repurposing your own wife pearly whites. Yeah, so like I said, this has, although it's been portrayed as witty and funny and carefree maybe, it has a lot of darker themes. You don't see it really. Yeah, some hints here and there, but you don't, I mean, it's been told, but it's not really in, gory detail or something like that. So, and her father says, well, when you put it that way, it does sound scandalous. But to be fair, her teeth were quite lovely, and it would have been a shame to bury them with her. So it's all true then. And why you medicated her, I suspect, so she would forget. So he basically defends this, why he does it, right? Because he wants to ease his children's, mind, right? So there's a lot of, like I said, drugs, medicating, and other weird stuff. So basically, Madame Hulda is a little bit blackmailing him. She says, it's a shame not everyone would see just how much you care. If this sort of thing were to begin to circulate. People talk, sometimes it's servants, the townsfolk at the market, maybe your guard from this very prison. So, and she says, when it starts, it spread like spilled wine on your favorite table linen. Then once it sets in, it can be a nightmare to get out. Sounds dreadful. Stained linens. What could prevent such a terrible fate? So she says, sometimes all it takes is a gesture, a kind word to the right person. Perhaps to a warden. Haha, well, yes, he's in prison. Seems so simple and civilized. And what do you do if you were released from this awful place? Where would you go? What would you do? And if I may be so bold, with whom? Let's take one thing at a time, shall we, Doctor? Please, call me Charles. Charles. Her teeth. I wonder. And so he comes back and home and he said, Alice, oh, are you, there you are, reading, I see. And she's reading the book wrong. And so they talk about the Humpty Dumpty, right? And she says, people think he fell, but they're reading it wrong. Yeah, she's quite crazy. Now, what happened to her in the last issue, or basically the last volume 1, she's been brain damaged by the doctor. Messed up her brain even more. Before she was addicted to drugs, but then with a special treatment, yes, they did something to her. And it makes it all crazier. Because in that time period, when you go to the loony bin, right, with the white jackets, people are being experimented all and, in IRL. It was a horrible time then. Meanwhile, back at the court in Alice's mind, so the walrus guy says, all right then, let you plead your case to return to Wonderland. Well, I mean, I kind of already did a few moments ago. Why go through it all that again? So the judge says, hey, we have traditions, we have laws. So the Cheshire Cat says, fine, basically, blah, blah, I've changed, etc., that sort of thing. Well, that's good enough for me. Should we vote to unsuspend the Cheshire Cat suspension? Alice says, well, no, he's obviously lying. That's what he does. He's banned. He's been banned, and that's that. But then they have an argument here, and he says, that's a very bold statement. Do you have any evidence to support the crude accusations? So they are basically turning the table on her, and she's not having it. She says, liable? I'm not the one on trial here. The Cheshire Cat has been exiled from Wonderland, and with good reason. He deceived me on many occasions, too many to properly list. All he does is lie and make up ridiculous stories. So the court says, ridiculous stories? I want to hear that. So they want all hear of these ridiculous stories because that is fun. A ridiculous story might cheer things up a bit. Not a terrible idea. So she says, no stories. Let's not get him started with his stories. Oh, come on. What little story? What could it hurt? Your stories twist everyone up. No stories. I won't have it. So they are going a little bit on, and Alice is getting madder and madder. And Cheshire Cat say, hey, maybe we should take a vote, right? So she says there will be no card playing of any kind. And so the court says, it sounds to me like you're saying we should vote on whether he stays or not, or goes. And then he basically transforms, and I'm not sure if that is a metaphor, into her father. I could be wrong, but I think that's what's happening here, right? And he says, well, if you ask me to stay, I would certainly be appreciated. It would prove to everyone in Wonderland that all of us can change. And change is a good thing. I vote I stay here in Wonderland to keep an eye on things here for all of us. You don't get to vote. So he doesn't get to vote, right, Walrus? According to the law, no, he can vote, but laws are made to be broken. What? I think that Cheshire Cat has some excellent points, and everyone seems rather taken with him. Very entertaining. So yes, we mark down on this ledger that an exception will be made this one time. How does that sound, everyone? So everyone is happy and says, yeah. But then Alice says, no, this isn't how it works. The Cheshire Cat doesn't get to vote, and he doesn't get to stay. And they're all down, like, boo-hoo. So it goes a little bit on, and she is now getting madder and madder. And she says, get out, 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 out. Gods will move this wicked cat at once. The Queen of Hearts commands it. Well, not a moment ago, she says, basically, hey, can I be the Queen of Diamonds? I mean, I don't want to be Queen of Hearts. You know, she's a little bit embracing her role. So she's being thrown outside, and then she's not feeling well. Now, in the first issue of Alice Never After, she was puking also in the real world, probably thinking that she might be pregnant. So maybe something happened that we didn't see in volume 1, maybe, probably. So her friends, who's also, here in the court, Alice, are you okay? Quickly, bring her to the room so she can rest and call the doctors. So, yeah, they are in character, but also weird. They are, go against her in the court, but then also when she is in trouble, they are there for her, right? And I believe this is all in her mind. But then the White Rabbit comes and he says, I'm so happy to see you. She says, oh my, Queen is it now? I'm afraid so, the Queen of Hearts. And so basically he says, it may be hard to believe, but the former Queen of the Hearts was a lot like you before accepting her seat at the royal throne. She was? But she was terrible, always carrying on, yelling and screaming. Everyone was afraid of her. Yeah, but so he says, basically that too much power all at once, it can change a person. So she says, I will never become a monster like she was. But then he says, hey, I need to go because I'm running out of time, right? And but she says, you're leaving so quickly, you just got here. Well, it's out of my hands, really. I fear I'm already a wee bit late as it is. You understand, don't you? No, I don't understand. Why are you always running off like this? So he says, well, I will explain it to you tomorrow. Tomorrow sounds nice. Ta-ta. So she doesn't take no for an answer. She's running after him, right? And he says, come back here, I command it. Rabbit, where are you? You're the only one I really can talk to. And then she's falling and puking. And back in the real world, her sister at Newgate's prison is talking with the doctor. Dr. Madsen, who has operated on Alice. And he's also a little bit, well, not goofy, but, slick. And also carefree, like, yeah, it happened. So what, right? Something like that. He says, thank you for seeing me, Dr. Madsen. No, thank you. You're my first visitor. May I ask, how's your sister Alice is doing? Well, you butchered her. Alice is why I requested to see you. As you know, your operation left her intellectually damaged, to put it politely. So basically she asks if he can reverse the process, the surgery. Yes. Well, that is a very interesting question, isn't it? You know what I miss, Edith? Besides trying to help all the men and women with my work, my plants, my beautiful plants, and Earl Grey tea. Christmas is approaching, you know. If someone, perhaps maybe you, were to bring me oleander seeds and some tea leaves, I might be so inclined to discuss what I've learned through my studies. Would you consider that a fair exchange? Oleander and Earl Grey tea. You're an angel, a Christmas angel. You remind me so much of your sister. You're just as lovely. And he's smooching, like that. Coming back, Alice had a headache. She doesn't feel well. She's cranky, right? And then other people wants to see her. And she says, why are they here again? May I welcome a special guest to the Queen. I give you Sir Ostrix of Yogurt, the very dashing Lord Tiger, His Royal Excellency the Archduke of Tiny Harbor, known to his friends simply as Gilbert. And last, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Shouldn't it be obvious? Every queen needs a king, Alice. To be continued. I like this. I don't know what it is. There is something about it that I like. And I can understand that it's not for everybody, but there's something about it. Maybe it's the darker theme with the goofiness, this combination that for me really works. So I want to know what's going on. I have all 5 issues and we're going to, do everything. So guys, let me know. If you want to know what's going on, I urge you to watch the other videos first, or maybe, the first issue of this series. That would help you a lot to understand the plot a little bit better. Leave a comment below. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and all the YouTube channels, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.